It started early because it looks like this press conference is about to begin. They just turned on the cameras. But how are you guys doing today? What is it? Wednesday, January 25th. It is 1:35 p.m. I decided this morning at my wife's urging not to move this stuff over to the store today because of the weather. Like school's been canceled and all that stuff, and snow has not even covered the ground. So I should have did what I said I was going to do, but actually things work out the best. I've had time to work on certain things on the website, so that is good. And, getting a lot of stuff done. Just had a meeting with another fella here in the store, so things are good. The things are going good. I'm just relaxing today. Someone said, do we count how many times she will say DOJ? Yeah, probably a lot. Probably a lot. So we're going to have to wait and see what's going to transpire. But we are live. We're waiting for the White House press conference to begin. Should begin any moment. Any moment. Any moment now. I still want to give a big shout out to Shirley and Kathy. They are our two yearly Patriotic Box subscribers. They got their 20% off permanent discount, well, a year discount in our store for any future purchases and all that good stuff. If you guys want to become part of that elite crew, elite, because you get a 20% discount for life. It's amazing. Well, not for life, for a year. And then you get 12 patriotic boxes or 12 patriotic ammo boxes for the price of 10. One delivered every month and free shipping on every single patriotic box that we send to you. So it's an amazing, amazing deal. I need like 4 or 5 people to do it. 4 or 5 more people to do it. Lizar, I sent you an email. Come on, bro. That was peer pressure. Like I sent several of you guys, the big spenders in our account. I sent several of you. Larry, I saw you in the chat earlier. I sent you guys emails being like, come on, bro. Come on, bro. Let's do it. We need a couple of people. If you want to see that, the incredible excitement I had yesterday when Shirley did it, today would be the day. But, today is going to be interesting. Today is going to be interesting when it comes to this. But so Chrissy said, dang, that's the way to go. Oh, you're talking? Yeah. I mean, that's, for one, you get 2 free patriotic boxes. So that's a $250 discount. Plus, you get free shipping on everyone. So you average $10 shipping. So that's a $120 discount. You know what I mean? And here's the best part. You can use Shop Pay. You could use Shop Pay when you do it. You guys want to see the patriotic boxes just in case? I know. Everyone's going to be like, it's ads. But whatever. We got to do it while we're waiting for this press conference to begin. I got my sound on, so I'll hear it just in case they start. But yeah, patriotic boxes are amazing. So the way they work is every single month we send out a 50 caliber ammo can. I know those are 30 caliber ammo cans because originally I was going to do it with 30 caliber ammo cans, but they're too small because I put entirely too much stuff in them. So the way it works is we send out a 50 caliber ammo can with a book written by a veteran, coffee, and I may actually make it coffee of your choice. How many of you guys would like to have coffee of your choice? Like if I make another drop down where you could choose whatever coffee you want. Oh, here it is.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I'll talk about that in a second. Let's watch this.
That was a long 2 minutes. My team would not let me come out. Yeah. We were bonding.
Shut up.
In lower press. Okay, as you saw, the president made a bit of news today on our continued support for Ukraine alongside our allies and partners. My colleague here from the National Security Council, John Kirby, Admiral Kirby, is here to take some of your questions, and I will welcome him to the podium. All right.
John Kirby is fucking
I don't have any opening statement. I am just happy to take whatever questions you have.
All right. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you very much. Hi, Kirby. Thanks a lot for doing this.
Yeah.
My question is about the direct budgetary assistance the U.S. has supplied to Ukraine. President Zelensky recently fired senior leaders in Ukraine over corruption concerns.
Yeah.
Is the U.S. confident that direct budgetary assistance has been used properly in Ukraine?
As you know, that budgetary assistance is directed through the World Bank, and we're confident in that process. We obviously share President Zelensky's concerns over these corruption allegations, and it's apparent that he takes it seriously. that's important. We'll obviously let him work his way through that. But in terms of the budgetary assistance, like I said, goes through the World Bank. We're comfortable with that process.
Any signs of
We have not
misuse?
seen any signs that our budgetary assistance have fallen prey to any kind of corruption in Ukraine, and I would go so far as to say the same on the security assistance side as well, the weapons and the systems. We are obviously working in lockstep with the Ukrainians on accountability measures on that, and see no indication that anything we've sent over has ended up in the wrong hands or has been being used inappropriately.
We're going to jump around.
Thank you very much. Thank you for doing the briefing. For a long time, U.S. military officials had resisted this move to send Abrams tanks, saying that they're difficult to operate, difficult to train people on, and that was essentially what we heard from President Biden today. What changed?
So a couple of things. You're right. We've been completely open and transparent about the sophistication level of the Abrams tank. It's as the president said, the most capable, powerful tank in the world, and a lot goes into making it the most capable tank. We've been very honest about that. There's training that's needed. There's sophisticated maintenance requirements. There's a supply chain. I mean, it uses a gas turbine engine, basically a jet engine, 1,500 horsepower. So there's a lot that goes into operating these tanks on the field. That said, we've never ruled tanks out. We have been, from the beginning of this war now 11 months ago, been evolving the capabilities what we're providing with Ukraine with the conditions on the ground. And so when to get to your specific questions, what's changed? What's changed, Kristen, are the conditions on the ground and the kinds of fighting that the Russians are doing right now, and the kinds of fighting, more importantly, that we believe the Ukrainians are going to need to be capable of in weeks and months ahead, well into 2023, well into this year. And that's why we're doing the combined arms training outside of Ukraine for battalion-sized units. Combined arms maneuver, that's a fancy title, but basically means being able to integrate your ground capabilities, whether that's armor, artillery, even some degree small air defense systems, integrating command and control, logistics, integrating all that to fight on the ground, particularly with open terrain. That's why armored vehicles were so high on the list for the Ukrainians, and tanks are armored vehicles. So this very much just follows right along with the kinds of discussions we've been having with the Ukrainians for months about making sure that they can fight on the terrain that they're in and that they can prepare for operations going forward this year.
And just to follow up, it was part of the calculation, because obviously there had been this robust back and forth between the U.S. and Germany. Is part of this about giving cover to Germany and other European allies to allow them to send in tanks?
I wouldn't use the word cover. What this decision does do is show that how unified we are with our allies and partners, and doing all of this in a coordinated way. So today you saw that Chancellor Scholz announced that they're going to provide immediately a company of Leopard tanks. A company's about 14, and there's 2 companies to a Ukrainian battalion, and he's going to be working with allies and partners to get additional companies of tanks, Leopard tanks, into Ukraine. It's about coordination. It's about the unity here and the resolve that we all have together to help support Ukraine.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tim. Question. Could you get a little more specific about how many tanks Ukrainians would like to have? I mean, I know you're going to say it's their decision, but obviously you're communicating with them the whole time. How many they would like to have to get what they want to do done, i.e. these counteroffensives? And do you think they're going to get there with this whole hodgepodge of different Western contributions?
So you're right. I'm not going to speak for President Zelensky. I think if he was up here instead of me, he would tell you he wants as many as he can, as fast as he can. So the battalion that we're going to provide, that's 31 tanks. And that's for a Ukrainian-sized battalion. An American battalion has more tanks in it, but the way they're organized, it's about 30 to 31 tanks.
True story, Mark.
And again, the Germans are going to help organize another 2 battalions. So that's about 60 more, roughly. And that's just what was talked about today. The Brits have agreed to send some of their Challenger tanks. You heard the president talk about the French and their contributions to armored vehicles. So there's a lot that's being applied to this, and armored vehicles are important. You know, you don't go after a crocodile with a cornstalk, and these vehicles, these tanks, those armored vehicles, they're going to have an effect.
Okay, but just given the goals which are approaching pretty quickly, right? If there's going to be a spring offensive, it's we're talking maybe a couple of months or so. Do you feel confident that the Ukrainians are going to get to where they want to be in terms of the armor for these combined arms maneuvers you talk about? That they're going to have all that kit ready?
I can go so far as to tell you that it is our goal, and a goal shared by our allies and partners, including in the phone call this morning that the president had, that we accomplish exactly that goal, that we get to Ukraine the capabilities they need to be successful on the battlefield today, but just as critically in the future, going forward this year. Because right now, I mean, it's wintertime, so the conditions are not great. There's some fighting in the Donbass, but other than that, there's not been a whole heck of a lot, at least around down in the south. But as the weather conditions improve, you can expect that the Russians are going to pick up the tempo. We have to be ready for that, and I know the Ukrainians feel they have to be ready for that. So it's about helping Ukraine defend itself, but also, as you heard the president say, helping Ukraine be able to go on the offense when the weather conditions and when the operational conditions are permissive. Does that answer your question?
Thank you very much.
And then I'll come to that.
This is kind of a follow-up to everybody's question. How much of the U.S. announcement today was a diplomatic effort versus actually the battlefield capability effort in the months ahead when these 31 tanks can be delivered?
Both. There was a lot of diplomacy that went into the announcements today, and I know we've all been focused on the last few days and things that have been said publicly, but actually, I mean, the effort, the decision you saw today by both Germany and the United States was several weeks in the making through many discussions with the Germans and with our allies and partners. But there's a military component here too, Phil. I mean, I get it. I get where you're kind of going is that these tanks are not going to get there for many months, and I understand that. But those Leopards won't take quite as long to get there as the Abrams, and we're not wasting the time. I mean, even as we procure these tanks, we're going to be the Pentagon will very soon start doing the training for Ukrainian tankers, Ukrainian troops that man tanks, so that they can be ready to receive once those tanks are on the battlefield. Another point that's worth making is it's not just about how to operate the Abrams, to Kristen's question. It's how to maintain them, and it's how to have an organic supply chain process, a logistical sustainment process, so that you can keep them maintained and in the fight over the long haul.
Ask one quick thought. We always hear after announcements like this, and you've talked about the progression as the battlefield conditions have changed, the Russian threats of escalation or talking about crossing red lines. Do you feel like those threats at this point are both just par for the course, but also somewhat empty? In the sense that
you mean the Russian threats?
They don't seem to stop anything.
Well, we don't. I mean, look, we don't just take anything for granted when they say it, and we're not dismissive. That said, these tanks are meant to help Ukraine fight effectively on open terrain, to defend their sovereignty and their territory, and to win back territory that the Russians have taken from them. And as the president said, they don't represent an offensive threat to Russia. Do they represent a threat to Russian soldiers? You bet they do, but not to Russian soldiers that are in Ukraine, not to Russia proper.
Thank you, Kevin. Hi, John. Actually, Phil asked my question, but...
Oh, good. So we can go to the next one.
I have a follow-up on that. The expectation that these tanks will be delivered within months, at least 4 months. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But also the reports that the Russians might launch a counterattack now. Do you see this as a catalyst for the Russians now to launch an attack, to escalate the war in a way to stop them before they receive these tanks? If they're going to make any change in the war.
I never do well if I try to speak for the Russians and try to get inside their head and what their intents are. What we do believe, all I can tell you is what we believe, and that is that the Russians.
Hey guys, while they're talking about all the money that we're sending to Ukraine, let me make something for you. All right, let me see that. Wow, I cracked my knuckles. That was fucking cool. I've never been able to do that. Anyway, do you know what you could do with your tax dollars that would be more beneficial to sending it to Ukraine? You could buy our yearly bundle of Patriotic as F ammo cans. You know that? The link's in the chat right now, and I'm telling you, I'm plugging this hard as hell, because if I get 5 or 6 more total. We are so good, and you are going to see a rapid expansion of what we do. Like, crazy expansion. Like, I want to drive a tank. Like, I want to do all sorts of stuff, and that's what we'll be able to do. More outrageous videos about the best coffee company in the world. What I need all of you guys to do is go over, sign up right now for a yearly plan. You get you get 12 monthly Patriotic SF bundles. So every month you get a bundle delivered to your home. The last 2 bundles are completely free. It doesn't cost anything. You get free shipping on each bundle. And here's the best part. You get a permanent year-long 20% off everything in our store. So if you want to buy coffee later on, 20% off. You want to buy hoodies, 20% off. Anything that we put on, 20% off. Plus, you are like my best friend right now because we are desperately trying to get as many people as we can to sign up. I'll put the link in the chat again right now. Please go and do that, okay?
We do not
And now back
dictate
to the shit
to the
show.
Ukrainians how they operate, where they operate, what missions they conduct.
I want to drive
what
a
targets
tank.
they
I don't
choose.
want to buy one. I just want to
We
drive
help them
one.
with usable information and intelligence as best we can so that they can be successful. But these are their decisions to make. It is their country, their war. Our job is to make sure that they can prosecute that war successfully.
And I want to follow up to make sure that I understood you correctly. You said previously in your assessment of both military and economic aid to Ukraine.
Hopefully
that
no
at
one
this
gets
point
recalled.
Thus far, you haven't seen any signs of corruption or misuse.
Correct.
Thanks, John. Can you tell us a little bit more about how the U.S. settled on the number of tanks it's providing? 31. That's
Yeah.
a very specific number.
I kind of got to it a little earlier. It's basically the size of a Ukrainian tank battalion.
Where's my
in Ameri-
11
I'm
Bs and
getting a little bit
25
astray in
Bs
my knowledge. I was a
at? We
naval
might need to
officer,
shake
but-
off the rust homies
but
if we get recalled.
As I understand it, an American tank battalion has about 50 tanks in it. And it's organized with more companies that comprise a battalion than in Ukraine. It's just the way the Ukrainian army is organized. It's not right or wrong. It's just that their battalions are basically, I believe, 2 companies. So they're just smaller. And so 2 companies, that's about 15 tanks a company, and that's how you get to 30, 31. And then, usually at least one of these tanks is the commander's in there, and so you've got a command and control tank that sort of is in charge of how they're operating on the field. And now I'm really, really going astray of my expertise. But I think that's about as far as I can go.
The Ukrainians said today, thank you very much. Now how about some 4th generation fighter jets? What are the chances of that happening?
We're in constant discussions with the Ukrainians about their capabilities, and as I've said, we evolve those as the conditions change. Can't blame the Ukrainians for wanting more and more systems. It's not the first time that they've talked about fighter jets, but I don't have any announcements to make on that front.
Go ahead, Christine.
Is there concern that if any of these tanks were to fall in Russian hands, they would have access to the latest U.S. technology?
There's always what we call tech transfer concerns, I mean, that would be the case with other systems that we have provided to Ukraine. But, and this doesn't, kind of gets to the corruption question, but not really. We just haven't seen any indications that any of the material that we have provided Ukraine isn't being stored appropriately, used appropriately, maintained appropriately, and being fought with appropriately. We're just not seeing that happen. But is that a potential risk? It's always a risk in war. It's a risk when we fight a war. But that's why we're working so closely with the Ukrainians on accountability. And we've really increased our efforts through the Defense Attaché's office in Kyiv to work with the Ukrainians on accountability so that we have a better sight picture on where these things are at any given time. But it's a war, and you can't forget that. I mean, it's a war.
Thanks, Grant. John, why not take the Abrams out of existing stocks to get them there faster? Is there a reason that you want more training before that happens, or is there some U.S. need that you want to keep
The
that
Pentagon
inventory?
assesses that they don't have any excess Abrams in their inventory, that all of them are gainfully employed, if you will, for our own national security defense. And even if there were excess tanks, the process of getting them to Ukraine, to prepare them for use by the Ukrainians, to train Ukrainians, to put all the parts and supplies in place, would take many months anyway. So it's not like this procurement process is really costing us any time than if we just drew them down out of our own stocks. But the real reason is we just don't have them. We don't have excess tanks. The second thing is, and this is not unimportant, is that, and I mentioned this a little bit earlier, when they get there, we want to make sure that they fall on ready hands, and that the Ukrainians know how to use them. They know how to keep them running. And they've
April,
got
can
the
you go over
supply
to
chain in
Twitch, please?
place
Get rid of
for
Boogie,
spare
whatever
parts
his
and
name is.
supplies and anything else they need, so that they can be more effective on the battlefield.
Given the process, what's the soonest the Abrams could get there?
The Pentagon, I think, talked about this earlier today. There's no date certain on the calendar. I think what we're looking at is what's probably going to be many months before they're actually there.
Thank you. John, so to your point about longer-term planning and absorption rate from the Ukrainians, and also picking up from Sebastian's question about the number of tanks, the Ukrainian advisor to Zelensky's office, Mikhailo Podolyak, actually told my colleague after this announcement that what they need is about 200 to 350 tanks from the West. So is that a realistic number? If not now, maybe in the future, if the Ukrainians should happen to prove that they can absorb these initial tranche of tanks and they can maintain it?
I don't think it's wise to get ahead of where we are right now. We are focused on working on this program to get them, procure them, these 31 Abrams tanks, to include all the supplies and parts that go with it and the training that's required to operate and maintain them. And we know, certainly based on the conversation the President had this morning, that our allies and partners in Europe are likewise focused now on moving additional armored capability to include these now German Leopard tanks in a shorter period of time.
To be clear, the future shipments of tanks is not off the table.
We are focused on the announcement the President just made today.
Just one more really quickly. He also said that the next step for Ukrainians will be to request extended range missiles. Is that also under consideration?
We are in constant conversation with the Ukrainians about their capabilities. I don't have any announcements to make.
With many months being the time frame, is it fair to say that these tanks will not be available for use for the spring offensive? And secondly, one of the concerns in the lead-up in the debate about this was fuel concerns. How is that being dealt with?
Well, that's part of the supply chain issue, isn't it? I mean, it's a jet engine. It's a gas turbine engine, which needs jet fuel. So there's a specific type of fuel that powers the Abrams, and we've got to make sure that that pipeline, literally and figuratively, is available to Ukraine. So that's going to take some time as well. And look, I'm not going to predict date certain on the calendar. It's going to take many months before the tanks get there. And let's not get ahead of specific spring offensives. We do think as the weather improves, the Russians are going to want to increase their tempo. We want to make sure that the Ukrainians can not only meet that tempo, but be capable of their own. And what that looks like and when that starts or where, that's really up to President Zelensky and his military advisors. We wouldn't speak to that. Only thing I'd add to that, Amr, is that these Leopard tanks won't take quite as long to get on the ground. And again, I'll let the Germans speak to this, but they won't take the same length of time that the Abrams will in order to arrive.
To follow up on Amr,
You'll go after.
I'm sorry. I screwed up the flow.
So to follow up on Amr's question about the many months timeline, can you articulate then why this decision was not, why it did not take place sooner, given the Ukrainians' demands and given the demands of a potential spring offensive?
You could ask that question about almost any system that we provided, and my answer will always be the same. We are in constant conversation with the Ukrainians about their needs and doing the best we can to address those needs, both short-term and long-term. And the decision that the President announced today was a result of a lot of conversations with the Ukrainians as well as with our allies and partners. And it is very much, as I answered before, it's very much about forecasting. It's about trying to get ahead of the kinds of fighting that we see coming in coming months here in the spring and the summer of this year.
One quick follow-up, and to broaden it out actually beyond the situation in Russia and Ukraine, I was struck by something the President said today about ensuring that neighbors cannot steal other neighbors' territory. It's something you all have brought up many, many times. And I'm curious if you can kind of help us understand why the administration has not changed course on your predecessor, former President Donald Trump's position on the Golan Heights, and what makes that situation distinct from what's going on in Russia and Ukraine?
Look, the different scenarios completely, and And I'm not here prepared to talk much about that, except to say we've been very consistent that we want to see a two-state solution. And we believe, the president believes, that a two-state solution is possible and could be viable. But it takes both sides to be willing to commit to that. And we don't want to see either side take unilateral actions that would decrease the possibility of actually reaching a two-state solution.
Could you please bring us a little bit behind the scenes about the negotiations?
You're behind her. I couldn't see it.
Thank you. I was wondering if you could give us some details about the negotiations behind the scenes with the Europeans.
You want me to talk behind the scenes at the podium?
Yeah, a little bit. Especially what type of conversations have there been with the European Union and with the government of Spain?
The discussions have been very robust with our European allies and partners, again, for many weeks here. And certainly the discussion today that the president had with his counterparts in the UK, France, Germany, and Italy was, again, very productive, very candid. All these leaders are rightly focused on doing what they can to help Ukraine and rightly focused on the future. I can't speak for Spanish decision-making here. Spain obviously has been a contributor and a supporter of Ukraine, and that's always welcome. And I think the president addressed some of their contributions today, and we look forward to continuing to work closely with Spain going forward.
James, in the back.
I'm sorry, I didn't have a question.
Okay.
I have a question. Thank you.
Wait. You don't have a question, James? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Can we just have this for the record?
Oh my goodness, yes. I'm gonna frame that transcript.
I have
Holy
two questions.
mackerel.
This is simply a tribute to your own loquacity and thoroughness in briefing us.
Loquacity is James Rosen for eloquence, is that?
I have two questions for you.
All right, go ahead.
Hold on.
So we don't know how Russia will respond.
The audio is
If
off and it's
Moscow
driving me nuts.
chooses
I may have to find a
major
different feed.
escalation
Yeah, I'm
and
going to find a
decides
different
to
feed.
strike
Bear with me.
NATO, either Poland or the Baltics. Do you have enough troops in the region right now to respond? And from day one, not 5 months ahead. And the second question would be, many of those who called for sending Leopards and Abrams to Ukraine argued that Russia right now is too weakened in the region right now, too weakened to respond conventionally in a significant way. How confident are you in this assessment that Russia
and the
is so weak that
they have sunk into this unprovoked war of theirs, and the literally thousands of missiles and rockets and now drones that they have launched into Ukrainian territory? I mean, they have burned through a lot of inventory, and they have suffered a lot of casualties, killed and wounded. So there's no question that their military is weaker for Putin's folly here. That said, you don't have to look very far. I mean, just the news coverage to see that the Russian military and their thugs are still pretty lethal, because Ukrainians continue to die every day. And so I think if you were to ask a Ukrainian here, how weak is Russia, I don't think that they would tell you that there's not still fight left there. And that's why we're so focused on making sure that Ukraine can continue to defend itself and to have the capabilities to fight back and to succeed on the battlefield. On your first question, all I can tell you is we have seen absolutely no indication that Mr. Putin has designs on striking NATO territory. And President Biden has said since the very beginning of this conflict that we take our Article 5 commitments to NATO seriously. Article 5, of course, is the notion that an attack on one is an attack on all. And we take that seriously. In fact, we take it so seriously that President Biden ordered an additional 20,000 American troops alone onto the European continent, and they still are there. Now, we'll be rotating them in and out, but it'll the net number of 100,000 American troops on the European continent has stayed the same and will stay the same for the foreseeable future. Make no mistake, the security environment in Europe has changed. Not is changing, not will change. It has changed because of what Mr. Putin did. And the United States anteed up for that and made clear to our NATO allies, particularly on the eastern flank, how seriously we take our responsibilities to those Article 5 commitments. And Mr. Putin needs to understand that.
Do you have enough troops? Because many of those countries send its own tanks, missile systems to Ukraine.
Well, we're sending missile systems, and now we're sending tanks to Ukraine as well. Every nation is making these decisions as best they can to support Ukraine, but they also still have sovereign responsibilities to their citizens to defend their countries. And so they're all making that calculus, as are we. I can tell you that from our perspective, I can't speak for every NATO ally, we are confident that we have the capability, the energy, the talent, the manpower, the resources to meet our Article 5 commitments to our NATO allies.
Are there any signs of a nuclear threat?
Thank you, Karine and John. Got two questions about China. First, Karine told us yesterday that the U.S. has been communicating with China about the implications of helping Russia. Can you tell us what China's response was to the U.S. communication, and if China continues to provide economic support, and including by selling non-lethal military aid to Russia, would the U.S. impose stronger measures than just communicating?
I won't get ahead of decisions that haven't been made, and I'm certainly not going to detail diplomatic conversations. We've been very clear publicly, and we certainly have been clear in private settings with Chinese leaders that we don't believe that now is the time for business as usual with Russia, and that we want to see every nation sign up to the strict sanctions regime and abide by those sanctions, meet those sanctions, and do nothing to support Russia. Now, every country makes their decisions for themselves, just like I said before, and China's going to have choices that they're going to have to continue to make here about what side they want to be on. We know they're still buying Russian oil, for instance, and it's not clear, whether they will abide by the cap. But this is the time for the international community, and you're seeing so much of it today in this decision, to really continue to rally around Ukraine and to make the right decisions.
Follow up on China, sorry. So China's been saying that there's 70K COVID deaths in just over a month, up from just a dozen reported earlier this month. Does the U.S. believe that new number by the Chinese government, saying that there's been 70K?
The Chinese, we have continued to encourage the Chinese to be cooperative with international reviews and studies about COVID, and they have not been fully transparent, and we cannot speak to the veracity of those numbers. We urge China to be fully transparent about what's going on.
Sorry,
I think, ma'am, I gotta move on.
I appreciate it. We all have questions. If back to the timeline, if I may, you saying repeatedly today that it's going to take many months for all these tanks to be delivered. Taking a step back, should Americans see that as a sign of a harsh reality that this war is nowhere near from over?
I think we need to prepare ourselves that to continue to have to continue to support Ukraine for quite some time. I can't be perfectly predictive on that, and I obviously, and you heard the president say this today, we'd like to see this war end today, and it absolutely could. All Putin has to do is pull his troops out of Ukraine, call it a day, and it's over. But he has shown no signs of being willing to do that. And so we got to make sure that Ukraine can succeed on the battlefield so that they can succeed at the negotiating table. And it's difficult to be able to predict how long this is going to go on. But we have to be prepared. And this is I think, to get to your question, well I can't tell the American people exactly how long it's going to take. We have to be prepared to stay at this task of supporting Ukraine, as the president said, for as long as it takes, with the expectation clearly that we want it to end quickly. We want it to end now. But again, we have to stay at that task. And there's been terrific bipartisan support here in town, bicameral and bipartisan support here in town for support to Ukraine. And the American people, as the president said, they too have been supportive of this. They understand what's at stake, and it's it's obviously Ukrainian sovereignty and Ukrainian lives, but it's bigger than that. It's about the principle of sovereignty.
There's also been, if I could really fast, there's also been bipartisan outrage and frustration over the last few days that there are just more and more disclosures of classified documents showing up in places where they were not supposed to be. From a national security perspective, you work in national security, how concerned are you, and does the system need reform?
I'm going to defer most of the document questions to Karine. The only thing I'd say here is that you're welcome.
Thank you.
Obviously the president, you've heard Karine say he takes the treatment of classified material seriously. I can assure you that everybody here does too, and the National Security Council staff. We deal with classified material every single day. You have to do that. We all know what the rules are. We follow the rules, and the procedures exist for a reason, and they've been developed over many, many years as the nature of classified material has changed now to now include electronic capability. And so we're working at that very, very hard. I don't have any changes to speak to. The process of classified material handling, not process, but the guidelines change over time as technology changes, and we're always reviewing those procedures to make sure that they're fully appropriate.
Is there a problem then with overclassification?
Is there a problem with
Overclassification of documents?
Well, I think, it's always a balance, and you're always trying to meet that balance about whether things are classified appropriately. And the intelligence community works at this. So obviously, we work at this. I wouldn't go so far as to slap a Band-Aid on it and say, yeah, everything's overclassified, but it's a balance that we try to strike to make sure that everything is appropriately marked and appropriately handled. But, it varies from document to document and from issue to issue.
And a quick one on Germany. At any point during the conversations with Germany, did they make the Leopard deployment contingent on the U.S. sending the Abrams? And can you give us just some sense of what led to the joint decision? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. You didn't want to send the tanks, then you decided to send the tanks. What happened?
Tanks were never off the table. We have been nothing but honest and transparent about the particular challenges of the Abrams, which those challenges still exist. I mean, it is still going to require a unique supply chain and maintenance requirements and jet fuel. I mean, all that stuff is still valid. We've been very honest about that. The decision today was the result of many, many discussions with the Germans as well as our allies and partners about what Ukraine is going to need going forward and how we can all best address that.
Just a couple more. Go ahead, Michael.
Mr. Kirby, can you take a question on
Go ahead,
Africa?
Michael.
I know
Go ahead, Michael.
Can you talk
a little bit
about
the training process for learning how to operate these tanks? What is involved in that? How long do you think it would take the Ukrainians to get up to speed? When do you think it's expected to start? Where would it be? Would it be in Ukraine or somewhere else?
We're still working our way through the details of that, and I'll refer you to the Defense Department for more granularity. I can tell you a few things. One, the training will absolutely not occur in Ukraine, but they haven't landed a location for where that would take place. But it won't be inside Ukraine, clearly. And they will run an ambitious training program for them, as we have on every other system. The Patriot battery training is ongoing right now at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and they've been able to accelerate parts of that so to get Ukrainians trained up on it at a pace that's a little faster than what we would do, because the need is exigent. And I think you can expect that the Pentagon will take that same approach on the training on the Abrams. But how long is it going to take? I really am not able to say. They're still working their way through that. We don't think that it will take too much longer. I'd say probably weeks, not months, before they're able to really nail down the details of this and start to put it in place, the training regimen.
John, how hard is it to walk out of a skiff with classified material?
Everybody who goes into a skiff knows what the requirements are to go in.
Oh shit, he's answering.
And knows what the requirements are to go out. You can't bring personal devices in, and you certainly can't leave with material unless that material is appropriately secured.
And usually what happens to someone in the chain of command if they do leave with a piece of classified material that they're not supposed to have or that is not secured?
I think if you do it inadvertently or you do it and you realize you don't have it secured in a locked bag, you self-report, which is exactly what the president did, self-reported. But you self-report and you make sure that that you get the material back secured where it belongs, and that you're transparent about it.
2 more questions. Alex in the back, Alex, and then
Thank you, Admiral. I understand that the distinction you're making between offensive weapons and defensive weapons, but the Russians are not seeing that subtlety, or perhaps intentionally, right? They're calling, one of their propagandists is calling for, the annihilation of Washington and Berlin and London and Paris. Now, that's just indicative of the mood in
Because
Moscow.
of this announcement?
Well, because of this announcement, and then I think they're quite irked by the German announcement, given the history. So, is it possible that they see this as a provocation to escalate? And I heard one of my colleagues ask about tactical nukes. Could this give them a pretext to use those either on the battlefield or against the Baltics or Poland or elsewhere?
The propagandists and the Russian media can say what they will. The president put it very plainly today that these tanks pose no offensive threat to Russia. They do, as I told Phil,
how do you
pose
even
a
figure that
threat
one?
To Russian soldiers and units that are in Ukraine. They're very powerful, very capable. And not just the Abrams, but the Leopards that are going to be coming soon too. Very, very powerful. But they don't pose a threat to the Russian homeland. They are designed to help the Ukrainians in what we believe is going to be a need for combined arms operation in the coming months.
The nuke threat specifically, do you see that worsening?
I would just tell you, we don't have any indication that Mr. Putin has any intention to use weapons of mass destruction, let alone nuclear weapons, tactical or otherwise. We monitor as best we can, and we believe that our strategic deterrent posture is appropriate, but we've seen no indication that that's in the offing.
Mr. Kirby, what was the president's reaction when he learned
Wherever you want to go. Wherever you want to go.
The American intelligence agency missed their target by 3,000?
What
was his reaction?
How and when it was decided to send the Abrams? Was there a final, call with Chancellor Schultz or a meeting with officials that really pushed that decision across the finish line?
I think just in general, I'd rather not get into specific interagency internal deliberations, but in general, this decision by the president was made in the last several days, this particular one. But it came, as I said earlier, on the heels of dozens of conversations at various levels of the chain of command, not just between the president and the chancellor, but Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and his counterpart, and Secretary Austin and his counterpart. They were just out in Ramstein on Friday as a part of this Ukraine Defense Contact Group, and the issue of tanks, particularly Leopard tanks, was absolutely on the agenda last Friday at Ramstein. So, it builds on weeks of discussions and conversations with the Germans, with our allies and other allies and partners, as well as, quite frankly, with the Ukrainians. All right, thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, John.
Stay dry.
All right. Thanks, John.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so just a couple things at the top, and then we'll get started. Today, we announced data from the 2023 open enrollment period. In this year's open enrollment period, a record-breaking 16.3 million Americans signed up for affordable health care through the Affordable Care Act. That's over double the number of Americans who signed up for health insurance coverage through the marketplaces during the first open enrollment season in 2014. 4 out of 5 consumers looking for health care through the Affordable Care Act could find health care plans for $10 or less per month. That's because of the lower health insurance rates that were delivered as part of the American Rescue Plan and were locked in through the Inflation Reduction Act. In all, these lower rates are allowing millions of Americans to continue to save $800 per year on health insurance coverage. President Biden promised to lower costs for families and expand access to quality, affordable health care, and he is delivering on that promise. Bless you, Nancy. And finally, as you all know, tomorrow President Biden will deliver remarks on recent proof that his economic plan is working, including a record nearly 11 million jobs created, the 2 strongest years of job growth in history, 750,000 manufacturing jobs created, the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years, the best 2 years for small business applications on record, annual inflation falling and wages rising over the last 6 months. The president will then contrast his plan with Republicans, as you've heard us do many times from here. The president is building an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, and protecting Social Security and Medicare. Congressional Republicans want to cut Social Security, want to cut Medicare programs Americans have earned, have paid into, and impose a 30% national sales tax that will increase taxes on working families. That is what they have said they want to do, and that is clearly their plan. His remarks will be in Springfield, Virginia, with steam fighter union workers who are benefiting from his economic plan. With that, Amr, can you kick us off?
Thank you. Does the administration think it's time for all former presidents to do a scrub of their homes and offices to make certain they don't have any classified documents in their possession?
So I think I was asked a version of that question yesterday, and it remains the same as what we're going to do from here. Is, again, be prudent, be consistent. I would refer you to the White House Counsel Office. I'm just not going to comment on any change of procedure, how things should move forward. I would refer you to the White House Counsel's Office.
On a separate matter, any reaction to Senator Joe Manchin moving to delay new tax credits on EVs?
So I haven't seen those reports. Clearly, when it comes to electrical vehicles, that's something that is incredibly important to this president. We saw that in the bipartisan infrastructure legislation. Remember, it is a bipartisan piece of legislation, and he is committed to really tackling climate change by making sure we're moving forward. One of the processes is making sure that we're moving with electric vehicles. I don't have anything specific to say about this particular action that the senator is making.
One last thing. Any updates on when Speaker McCarthy may be coming to visit?
So as you know, the president is very much looking forward to meeting with Speaker McCarthy. We haven't locked anything in yet. They have a working relationship, as we've said before. They want to continue and build on that relationship. Don't have anything here to share. They're expected to talk on a range of issues. When we have locked in that meeting, we certainly will let you all know. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. Another question about Senator Manchin. He had a meeting with the House Speaker, and reportedly he said after that meeting that he wants the White House to negotiate over cutting spending in exchange for raising the debt limit. Has he conveyed that position to the White House, and does the White House have any response to Senator Manchin about that?
I'll say a couple of things, and I've been asked this question over the last 2 days in different variations. Look, I don't have any conversations to share that was had on this campus with Senator Manchin. As you know, we talk to congressional members from both sides of the chamber very regularly. What I will say is the president has been always very clear. If folks have ideas on how to deal with the national debt and lower the debt, he's happy to hear that conversation. He's happy to hear those policies and those ideas. And as you know, you've heard me say this many times, 1.7 trillion, which is a record number that the president has been able to do to bring down the deficit. When it comes to default, we see this as a separate matter. We see this very differently, and it should be done without conditions. We've been very clear about that. And if you think about just the basic action that the Congress should be taking, we're talking about the debt that has been acquired, that has racked up by Congress. We're not talking about new spending. We're not talking about anything new. We're talking about Congress just paying their debt, which is a basic responsibility. 90% of the debt that has been racked up happened before the president walked into the office. So again, it should be done without conditions. We've been very clear about that, and we'll continue to share that with whoever wants to listen.
And then on a separate topic, there are some House Democrats who are now calling on Speaker McCarthy to limit Congressman George Santos's access to classified information based on some of his connections and some of the lies that he's told about his background. Does the White House share that view that he should be restricted from viewing classified information?
What we have said about Congressman George Santos is that this is something, as it relates to committees or any actions that members need to feel like they should be happening. That is something for Congress to decide. That is something specifically for the Republican conference to decide. They are the ones who should figure out what is owed to the American people. We're not going to comment from here. We're not going to comment on actions that they're taking on other congressional members from here. But again, we believe that is something for Republican conference. They have, as you know, the majority in the House, and they should be deciding on how to move and what is owed to the American people.
So you don't have any concerns about him viewing classified information?
This is something, again, that should be decided by congressional members. We'll leave it there.
Can you assure the American people that when President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris leave office, no classified documents will walk away with them to places they shouldn't be?
So I'm going to be very careful here. As you can imagine, what I can say is repeat what the president has said multiple times. He takes classified information. He takes classified documents very seriously. His team currently is fully cooperating with the legal procedure that is happening under the Department of Justice and also the special counsel. I'm just not going to go beyond that. I'm not going to predict or lay out anything that might happen in the future. What I can say is this is something that the president, this is a matter, an issue that the president takes very seriously.
Another topic. Any reaction from you from the White House about Speaker McCarthy's decision to keep Representative Schiff and Swalwell from the Intelligence Committee?
So I'll say this. Representative Schiff, Representative Swalwell, and also Representative Omar are, our expertise and bring a lot to the table when it comes to foreign policy and national security. And we'll say this, we'll say that, when it comes to that committee, it should not be politicized. It should be independent. And again, those congressional members bring a lot of expertise to that committee, and I'll leave it there. Okay, Nandy.
Thanks, Corinne. The White House has not confirmed the appointment of Jeff Zients as the next chief of staff. Is there a reason you're not doing that? Can you give us a sense of when you're planning to announce that? And how soon will Ron Klain be leaving his position?
Look, I'm not going to talk about an internal process from here. What I can say is that we just don't have any personal announcement to make at this time. Look, I do want to say that Jeff is currently a colleague here of mine, and I've known him for many years. And I've spoken to Ron and his leadership just the other day as a chief of staff, and how we were able to get to where we are with the successes with legislation, historical legislation, in part because of his expertise. And he has always been a pleasure to work with, and we're going to continue clearly to work with Ron as long as he's here. When it comes to Jeff, I've known him as well for a very long time. He's a great implementer. He's a great with operations, and he's also an amazing human being, which I think should matter as well. Just don't have any personnel announcement to make from here, and when we do, we certainly will share that with all of you.
Would Ron Klain at least be staying on until after the State of the Union?
I don't have anything to share, any personnel announcements to share at this time.
Thanks, Karina. I was wondering, is the White House concerned or keeping an eye on what's happening in Memphis right now in terms of there's a federal civil rights investigation into the death of a man who had a confrontation after a traffic stop? I know his family and lawyers have seen the body cam footage. There's an expectation that would be released publicly in the coming days. Are you guys watching that or doing anything to prepare for that?
Well, again, want to be very careful here. That is an ongoing investigation, so don't want to comment on an independent investigation. I'll say this, our hearts go out to his family, and I'll just leave it there without stepping over the line here and commenting on something that's ongoing.
And then just one other, there was an announcement today that the president and vice president will be doing a joint event together in Philadelphia. They aren't often outside of Washington together. Any context you can provide in terms of the planning for that and what you guys are intending with that?
Absolutely. We advised this recently. It's going to be next Friday. Both the vice president and the president will travel to Philly, which will be on February 3rd. And they will discuss the progress we have made in their work implementation the Biden-Harris economic agenda that continues to deliver results for the American people, and we will have more additional information as we get closer to that date. Get Michael. Yeah, I'll go to that.
The House Judiciary Committee is planning its first hearing next week on what it's calling the Biden border crisis. Wanted to see if you have a reaction to that. And also, can you talk a little bit about how the White House is preparing for all of these investigations that House Republicans are planning?
So look, this is something my colleagues at the White House Council has been dealing with and responding to the committee. And I mean, look, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. During the midterms, we've heard from congressional members, Republicans in particular, that their focus was going to be on lowering costs for the American people, dealing with inflation, which is something the president has been doing for the last 2 years. And on brand, they decided to do the opposite of that, to not deal with inflation, to not work with us in a bipartisan way, to continue to really truly work for the American people. That's what we are seeing. My colleagues have said this before. I'll repeat what they have said. We are willing to work with the committee in a good faith fashion, but again, it has to be in a good faith fashion, and certainly talk about items or talking about anything that is pertinent, that is appropriate. But again, in a good faith fashion. And so I'm not going to get ahead of what my White House Council colleagues have said. But again, this is, they are doing the complete opposite of what they said that they would do during the midterms. And we have to remember, the American people spoke very, very clearly on what they wanted to see. They wanted to see Republicans and Democrats work together to deal with the issues that truly matter to them.
You've announced some of these day trips that the president's going to be doing over the next week and a half. Obviously, in less than 2 weeks, the president will be doing the State of the Union. Has he started preparations for that speech, and is there anything you could tell us about that overall message that we might hear from him that
So
night?
we'll have more details on the State of the Union. I can say this is the State of the Union. This is something that the president takes very seriously, and he knows this is an opportunity not just to talk to the congressional members that will be in front of him, but also the American people, and talk about the successes of the last 2 years and how he sees his vision in the next year, especially as we go further into 2023. So he sees this as an important opportunity to talk about how we're lowering costs for the American people. What else are we going to do to make sure we deliver what he promised, right? An economy that's built from the bottom up and the middle out. What else, or how else can we work in a bipartisan way? Don't want to get too far into what he's going to say. Clearly, we'll have more to share, but this is he sees this as an important moment, not just for him, but for the American people to hear directly from the President of the United States. I'm just going to go ahead and have him.
You said the president would have his physical finished by the end of this month. Is that still on track?
That's still on track. When we have a date to share, we certainly will.
Okay, just one other quick one. The House Oversight Committee is looking into Hunter Biden's art sales, or the sales of his own art. Is the White House concerned about that? Does it have any response to it?
I will refer you to Hunter Biden's representatives on this. Go ahead, and right behind. Yeah.
There are concerns that the big tech layoffs and the banking layoffs will spill over into the broader economy. When the president speaks about the economy tomorrow, how will he address those fears and the fears of a recession?
And look, we understand, the fears. But what I will say is that, and I've spoken to this a couple of times, that there is data, job data,
Attention! Attenzione! We have an important message. We have to interrupt this programming to bring you an important message. Pamela, you are amazing. That is really loud. Maybe, it's because I was yelling. My bad. Attention, attention. Pamela has become the newest member to our yearly I forgot what it's called. Patriotic as F bundle. Wow, that's really loud. Why is that so loud?
Yeah.
I don't know why it's so loud. But patriotic. Everyone give her a round of applause. Pamela, round of applause for you. She just became the newest. So she is one of the 3 in a lucky club. She gets 12 bundles for the price of 10, she gets a 20% discount on all future orders at Pure Truth Coffee. It's specific to her account. And you get free shipping on every bundle. Okay, so shout out to Pamela. I'll send you your code within 24 hours for your future orders. I also made it so now you guys can do a 6-month bundle if you want. All right?
His
Check it
words.
out. It's amazing. Shout out to Pamela. You rock.
You calling out Republicans as an effective tool when dealing with recession?
So I'll say this, and I've talked about this before. We are willing, and the president is willing, to work with Congress in a bipartisan way, as he has in the last 2 years. We have seen results of that. But he's also going to call out Republicans, in particular in the House, who are saying they want to cut Social Security, who have said very clearly they want to cut Medicare. They want to cut Medicaid or defense spending. This is what they are saying. This is what's coming out of the Republican conference. And the president has said that he's going to fight every day to protect those programs that taxpayers pay into. And we have to remember, those programs, they benefit veterans, they benefit our seniors, and taxpayers who, again, have earned the right to be part of those programs. So yes, he is going to call that out when he sees there is real danger against those programs. Okay,
thank you. Two quick questions. Just when the meeting with Speaker McCarthy happens, is it the expectation?
No, it's 6 months for 600, a full year, 620, a full year for 12 and change.
He's going to appear.
Normally the box is 125. So if you buy a yearly bundle, you're getting $250 off plus free shipping on every bundle plus 20% off on every single order with us. And originally I was going to do a year, but because everyone is so awesome, I'm going to give Pamela, Shirley, and Kathy lifetime 20% off in our store. Lifetime.
I don't have clearly the expectation that it will happen.
Hell yeah. I appreciate
this
this
so
so
much.
much.
Certainly we'll share.
We're going to be able to do great things.
Question I had asked, I think about a month ago.
6 months is one free box, so it's 150 or 120 bucks off plus free
There's
shipping.
been an ongoing investigation, and I know that members of Congress are trying to figure out if there's anything they can do, but the architect is actually a presidential appointee, so I'm wondering if there's any
No, that's a very good question. I forgot to, I don't remember the question, but certainly we will take it back and come back and reach out to you with where we are on that. Go ahead, I know.
Yeah, President Biden has tried to decriminalize or deschedule marijuana, and in the interim, companies, legal marijuana business in New Jersey and elsewhere, can't open checking accounts. They're doing it in cash. They're being robbed. And minority businesses can't get the money they need to open and compete with the big people. Is the president talk about doing anything administratively to try to ease some of these banking regulations and allow these businesses to flourish?
So I don't have any new policy announcements to make from here. As you know, this is something that Congress is working on, and we understand that there's interest in legislative and action, but I would refer you to Congress because, again, this is, what they're working on. Just don't have anything to preview on any new policies from here. Go ahead.
Drew, thanks so much. The president said last week he has no regrets in his handling of classified documents. When he saw how forthcoming former Vice President Mike Pence was, his team was about the fact that they did find classified documents in his Indiana home, did the president regret not telling the public about this immediately and instead letting it leak in the press?
So I'll say this, and again, I'm going to be very prudent. I'm going to be very consistent here. We have seen statements from the president's personal lawyers. We have seen statements from the White House counsel's office that laid out, believe there was a timeline that laid out how this process went from our point of view. I'm just not going to go beyond that. I will refer you again to those documents. And I will just reiterate what the president has said. He takes classified documents, classified information very seriously, and I'm just not going to go beyond what he has said. I'm not going to go beyond what has been shared in statements by his lawyers.
A number of lawmakers reacted yesterday to the revelations by former Vice President Mike Pence with some disbelief, saying that writ large, the system is broken when it comes to top officials handling classified documents. Does the president, does the administration agree with that assessment? And does the president, as the commander-in-chief, feel it's his responsibility to do something about it?
So look, I know my colleague was just asked this question, and I do want to be very careful. This is an ongoing legal matter here.
Well, I'm not asking
no,
about the president's
it is
case,
actually,
but
I hear you.
Speaking, here we have a number of current and formers who have now acknowledged, yes, they found classified documents in their possessions in places that are not secure, the nation's deepest secrets.
I hear the question.
I feel like he needs to address this.
I hear the question, and we're talking about the system. You're asking about how do we move forward. You're asking, like, what does the president think? And I am telling you that because there is I have to be really careful because this is a legal matter that is happening currently, and for me to comment on anything that's related to an ongoing investigation, that is not something that I can do from here.
Very quickly, the president had said he was going to talk to us about this soon. He did make brief comments last week, but does he have any plans to answer the questions that we've been posing to him, to perhaps hold a press conference so that we can ask him a range of questions?
Totally understand the question. I don't have anything to preview right at this time on any opportunities for the president to address this. But as you all know, and I know questions were shouted earlier, there's many opportunities that you all have with him where he takes all of your questions, and he has over the past 2 weeks.
Answered questions
No, I
about
understand.
this. We've been shouting them.
No, he's answered. Actually, when he was in California, he took a question. When he was in Mexico City, he was asked it. He took a question. The day after that, the day after that, he took a question. So I'm just saying that it's not that he hasn't addressed this at all. He has. I just don't have anything to preview on a potential press conference or anything like that, and an opportunity that you all will have to hear from him directly. But again, he has been asked a question a couple of times, and he's answered it, and you all have heard from him on that. Go ahead.
Any comment, Karine, on the reports that President Biden is considering Fed Vice Chair Brainard as the next head of the NEC? Is there any timeline for that decision process for him?
Look, I'll say this. Don't have any personnel announcements to make. The president would love to see and wants to see Brian D. stay as long as he can in the administration.
She closed her binder. She's running out
soon. As you all know, he's been many times to this podium, but he's been at the White House for more than 2+ years and has been an integral part of the president's economic policy of building an economy from the bottom up, middle out. Just don't have any personnel announcements to make at this time. Thanks, everybody.
I knew it. I called that one. I called that. I said she's running. She's out the door. Simon again did not get a question in. He tried. He did get question in. They just ignored him. Just like every day. He's the African Times reporter. He's a very funny fellow on Twitter. You guys should follow him if you don't. But yeah, crazy stuff. He never gets to ask any questions. She refuses to answer any questions. I thought, here's the thing. The last reporter that asked the question about, listen, is Biden going to address the issue with classified documents because that is an issue that needs to be addressed. That is an issue that needs to be really looked at because regardless of what you think of Mike Pence, regardless of what you think of Joe Biden, regardless of what you think about Donald Trump, the fact that classified documents are being found in these people's private residence after they've left office it should be something that everybody finds concerning. Right? Granted, does the vice president enjoy Secret Service protection for the rest of his life? Does anyone know that? I know ex-presidents do, but do ex-vice presidents enjoy that same service or that same protection? Because you have to think that, especially with the amount of power. And listen, one of the reasons why I always believe that they maintain Secret Service protection for the remainder of their life is so that they're constantly monitored by, our military complex. They're constantly monitored by law enforcement officials. So that way, if Donald Trump is trying to set a meeting with some, not Donald, if someone was trying to set a meeting with our adversaries after they leave the White House, and they are, because think about it, have access while in the White House to so much classified data. They have access to so much classified information. Even a lot of that could be kept in your head, right? I've long maintained that one of the reasons why they assign, besides the protection aspect of it, is to just keep tabs on them. You know what I mean? So that's what I don't know. My question was whether or not the vice president has Secret Service protection. I know they don't. The vice presidents do not have the ability to declassify documents, but everyone should really be concerned about how much time or the fact that these documents went out. I think that journalist question was one that should have been answered. I think President Biden, as much as we all hate him, he should address the public and say, listen, we have discovered that there's some serious issues with the handling of classified documents at the highest level of the United States government that needs to be addressed. Because if Donald Trump they found documents with Donald Trump, and a lot of people are trying to say like, oh, the difference between Mike Pence and Joe Biden are they discovered the documents and they turned them over to the Department of Justice, and trying to say that there's a difference in the way Donald Trump handled it, which is complete and utter BS. Because Donald Trump's people found those documents and called the FBI. The FBI came in and said, hey, do you have these documents? They searched, they found the documents. They said, okay, put a padlock on the door. That's really what happened. The FBI told Donald Trump's people to put a padlock on the door where these documents were being held. So why everybody continuously is acting like there's a big difference between Joe Biden having classified documents, Mike Pence having classified documents, and Donald Trump having classified documents. The only difference is that the Biden administration raided the home of a former president over classified documents and then proceeded to leak out everything. Think about this. How many images have you seen of the Wilmington home of Joe Biden where they have all the classified documents or items spread out on the floor and they take photographs and leak it to the press? How many have you seen of that? Because the answer is none. Everybody keeps saying about the raid at Mar-a-Lago that they did it with long guns and all that stuff. And they reference a photo of the day of the raid where a Secret Service member is standing out front of Mar-a-Lago with long guns. Guess what? Go to Mar-a-Lago now or anytime when President Trump is there. Guess what happens? There's Secret Service with long guns outside of his building. That wasn't because of the raid. That's just because of the level of protection that president has on him. Do you know what I mean? But that's one of the interesting things that everybody keeps trying to say that Donald Trump was doing. I mean, let's just look at this. What about the leaks of the documents, right? Or the perceived leaks of said documents? They kept saying Donald Trump had nuclear codes, right? He had nuclear codes. That was the first thing they said. And then they said he had a list of all the CIA agents overseas and he was trying to sell that. I even heard Fox News, a political commentator with Fox News, literally say that what if Donald Trump was trying to sell nuclear codes to our adversaries? And then it turns out he didn't have any nuclear secrets. That's already come out because they leaked it again, that he didn't even have any nuclear secrets. We don't know what he actually had or what documents he had, but this is what we do know for the timeline for Donald Trump. He didn't pack any of those materials. An organization within the United States government called the Government Services Administration, otherwise also known as GSA, they're the ones who packed everything. They're the ones who arranged the transport to Mar-a-Lago. They're the ones who offloaded the truck through their contractors and placed all those items in the storage room in the basement. That's what we know. Those are facts that we know. And from what we're able to understand right now, based on the facts that have been presented, the documents went from the White House directly to Mar-a-Lago, to that storage unit where they stayed. However, the documents that left the Biden vice presidency did not have, it wasn't like they were packed up and they were transported to the Penn Biden Center and then boom, that's where they stayed, because the Penn Biden Center didn't open, I believe. Someone fact check me on that. When did the Penn Biden Center open? I believe it was 2018. So those documents had to leave the White House when Joe Biden left the White House in January of 2019. Where were those documents? Who had access to those documents? What about the chain of custody? Did those documents go to Wilmington, Delaware? And then someone made the determination to bring those classified documents from Wilmington, Delaware to the Penn Biden Center? We don't know. That is a big issue. That is a big issue that everybody should know, because those documents were deliberately handled and moved, which is completely different than what happened with Donald Trump. The documents with Donald Trump were packed by a government organization, sealed in boxes and then brought to Mar-a-Lago and put in that storage room. That is 100% true. We know that. But the documents with Joe Biden, that was different. What about the documents with Mike Pence? Is it the same home that he's lived in ever since he left the White House? Probably. But we don't know. There's a lot more questions about Joe Biden because the documents have been found all over the place. 5 separate searches have 5 separate locations. Nah, that's not right. There's been 6 different document dumps found, right? So you have the Penn Biden Center, and then you have several times in the Wilmington home. You got him in the library in the Wilmington home. You got him in the garage of the Wilmington home. They haven't even searched Rehoboth Beach. He's got a beach house there. They haven't even searched that place according to the latest news reporting. So where is it? Do you know what I mean? So someone said February of 2008 is when the Penn Biden Center opened. So more than a year after Joe Biden left office. That is why reporters are saying, listen, are they going to address this to the American public? Because this is a huge issue. And this is notwithstanding the fact that Hunter Biden's a crackhead and has immediate and intimate ties to our adversaries, to spies, to hookers, to crack, like all of that stuff. Like you wouldn't let a crackhead come stay in your garage even for the night because you'd be worried that you would have nothing left in the next morning. Hunter Biden literally lived in the home. He lived in the home and used it as his primary residence. This is all, we don't need to talk about all the other, corrupt stuff, all the money from foreign adversaries and all that stuff. You don't even need to address that. If you really want to put some peace in mind for the American public, what you do is you address this. What you do is you address the fact that 3 the highest ranking American officials, and one, current, but he was former at the time of these documents being taken, they all had classified documents that they shouldn't have had. In my opinion, it's not a matter of mishandling classified documents anymore. I don't think it is. For anybody, not for Donald Trump, not for, the only people that would be responsible for mishandling documents are the United States government, are the people that are not doing their job. Are the aides or whoever it is that's supposed to be like, hey, Donald Trump, here's a classified briefing. You read it? Okay, now I'm taking this back. Whoever's job that is to do that. And why are they using paper now? I mean, I guess because they don't want to, So Joe said 5G are killing us for real now. Wow, that's a really off the wall conversation. Has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But thanks, Joe. You're funny. You're a funny guy. But yeah, it's very odd. It's very odd everything that's happening. Because the silence from the White House is pretty deafening when you think about it. Biden had classified docs from his time in the Senate. That's bad. Yeah. So and again, but I don't know if that's been officially released. We don't know what classified documents Joe Biden had. They didn't put out a list of all of the documents that were received. Like, remember, with Donald Trump, they put out a whole list of every single item they took. They didn't do that with Joe Biden because all we know is they took 6 classified items. So, and the reason why they're marking it classified items or classified marked items, that could be a box full of classified documents. We don't know. And they're not providing any context to it. They're not saying what the material is. They're not saying what it pertains to. They're not saying whether it's nuclear codes. Like, it's weird because the leftist, mob attacked Donald Trump saying he had nuclear secrets. How come they're not doing it, with Joe Biden? How come they're not saying that, he took nuclear secrets so he could give it to Hunter Biden, who could, get a lot of money from China or Ukraine or something like that? How come they're not saying that Hunter Biden or that Joe Biden took a list of CIA operatives operating in Ukraine and Russia? You know what I mean? Like the same stuff that they did with Donald Trump. Why is there this clear and utter double standard? But beyond all of that, the biggest issue, if you ask me, the biggest issue amongst this whole thing, is that the White House has a serious issue containing classified information within the White House. A serious issue. And what everybody should be more concerned about, to be honest, is how many other people have access to these materials? How many, I mean, think lower level staffers, right? I mean, granted, if this was a lower level staffer, they'd already be in cuffs and in jail. We know that. It's literally happened. But how many people did get away with classified materials? How many people did take stuff and submit it to the other ones? And we make a big spectacle of when it happens. Remember the doctor? It was an army doctor, right? That was stealing medical records. Him and his wife that were stealing medical records here in Virginia at an army base and trying to sell it to the Chinese. I think it was Chinese or Russians. Remember that? That was in the past year. Those people are charged and arrested and blah, blah, blah. You know, that's espionage. But they were trying to steal classified records, classified medical records for high-ranking army officials. It's crazy. Someone said Biden took when he was senator. That's lower level. Yeah, but what if Biden, the ones, and not all of them, you know, were reportedly from when Biden was a senator, from what I understand. Not all of those documents. But some were. Was he on the intelligence committee? Is that some sort of, you know, crazy Russian intelligence that he's, you know, stole? It's really weird. And to me, the bigger picture is that they're not going to address the leaks. Or they're not going to address how this happened. You know what I mean? And we already know that because Karine Jean-Pierre just literally said it. You know, addressed it to the White House counsel, who's not answering any questions because the White House counsel, she's referring everyone to talk to the White House counsel. The White House counsel is referring everybody to talk to the Department of Justice. And the Department of Justice is publicly saying the White House is perfectly fine talking about this whole thing. But they're not doing it. So it's this never-ending cycle of BS that nobody's actually going to get any answers of. We, the American public, are never going to get any answers for it. And keep this in mind, too. I said it yesterday, and it's very true. If Joe Biden does announce, you know, come February, that he is going to be running for president again, which I don't doubt, or I don't believe it at this point, but who knows? I didn't think Mike Pence would run either. I think it would literally be a qualification to run for president of the United States that you have to mishandle classified documents. Because every single political candidate, Donald Trump, he's got the allegations of mishandling classified documents. Mike Pence, allegations of mishandling classified documents. Joe Biden, allegations of mishandling classified documents. So that literally all three, you know, top tier political candidates, or not top tier, that's a wrong expression for all three of them. But, you know, all three leading, you know, politicians running for office or running for president of the United States at this point, all have have mishandled classified documents. Isn't that freaking nutty? Isn't that nutty? You know, it really is. I don't care who you are out there. That's some weird, funky, you know, smelling chicken right there. You know what I mean? That's like chicken that you left on your counter a couple days too long. Smells funky. That's what's going on in our political climate. But they'll fit in real well. You know what I mean? They'll fit in real well. Because then you got people like George Santos. And here's the thing. Everybody's been going after George Santos all the time, right? Rightfully so. I wish more Republicans would go after George Santos. The guy is a fraud. And we as conservatives could make an example out of him real easy. You know, but then again, we can't. We can't, because if we lose his seat, it's typically a Democrat seat from what I understand. If we lose his seat, they're going to put a Democrat in the House, and then McCarthy will lose a vote. That's why McCarthy is not taking any action on George Santos. But the guy should not be sitting on any damn committee, certainly not the small business committee, because he's literally running fake small businesses. Where did he get all the money that he put into his campaign when he has no money? Nobody's really asking those questions. The media is asking those questions, mind you. But conservative politicians are certainly not. Nobody's answering any of those questions. He shouldn't be sitting on a single committee, if you ask me. Kevin McCarthy gave this roundabout speech saying, well, his politician or his constituents elected him to be in the office. You know, because they said the same thing about Swalwell. So it's all come up because of Swalwell and Schiff being kicked off the Intelligence Committee, which neither of them should have been on in the first place. Right? And Omar. She was kicked off as well, or Foreign Relations, I believe. Omar literally hates this country. You know what? And here's another thing. Rashiba Tlaib, or whatever her name is, she posted something on Twitter today, flying the Palestinian flag inside the Capitol building. I swear, just 2 years ago, they said there's never been another time where another country's flag or an opposition flag has flown inside the Capitol. What the? You're flying a Palestinian flag inside the Capitol. It should only be American flags inside the Capitol. And I know that kind of went out the window with Ukraine, because when Ukraine happened, everybody was like, war money. And so everybody started, wearing Ukraine pins on their lapels, and hell, they flew Ukraine flags inside the Capitol halls and all that stuff, which is absolutely insane. I don't care who you are right there. That's insane. We shouldn't be spending any money in Ukraine. I've long maintained this since the very beginning. We shouldn't spend a dime in Ukraine, not a penny. You know why? Because we have crises here. We have gun violence in this country. We have, rampant college fees in this country. We have, what are other leftist talking points? We have to pay for medical health care, in this country. It's like yesterday, I got the preliminary bill or denial from my insurance company, my wife's insurance company, denying my son's hospital stay. It wasn't a bill. It was just like, hey, so we deemed it wasn't worth inpatient. And one of the reasons why it said it wasn't inpatient, so this is why, at first I was like, this is crazy. This is crazy. But then I read a little bit more, and it said one of the reasons they denied is because they only approve if someone has to be on oxygen the entire time. And I'm like, my son was on oxygen the entire time. So that, some notes got crossed or whatever, so that'll be fixed, and I'm not worried about it. But no, Omar didn't have the flag. Rashida Tlaib had the flag. Someone said, all Obama has to do is make a call or brief that they were declassified and Biden would be clear. You think that's true? No, I don't think that's true. No, I don't think that's true either. But that's the thing, is there's no precedent on that. There's no precedent whatsoever right now. No precedent whatsoever. Donald Trump could say he declassified the material, that he had the White House. He could say he declassified the material that Mike Pence had. He could say, everybody could say they declassified the material. But here's the thing. It doesn't apply. Because nobody can contest it. It's never been done. You can't contest. They can't charge Donald Trump with mishandling classified documents. The charge would never, ever stick. It would go all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would ultimately rule that he is the sole person that could declassify anything, just by it being in his hands and his willing for it to be declassified. He doesn't even need to say it. And that's the truth, because he could declassify all those documents. Now, does this change the fact? Well, and this wouldn't apply to Joe Biden, because at the time Joe Biden had those documents, or Obama can't declassify documents right now. Do you know what I mean? Mike Pence, or even, Joe Biden could declassify documents right now. But, yeah, I lost my train of thought. But you guys, know where I was going. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. I was just told a coffee shop here in my town sells cups of your coffee. Really? Really? Probably. I don't know who it is, because we don't get a lot of bulk orders. Not yet. Not yet. John, I gotta say, bud, I'm a little let down. I thought you were gonna head over and take advantage of this yearly deal that we got going on. How many of you guys, just real quick, this is gonna be an infomercial for the next minute, okay? So deal with it. Don't time it, because I'll probably go long. Right now, we have two specials, okay? Right now on puretruthcoffee.com. And they both have to do with our patriotic as fuck ammo can bundles. So what these are, each bundle is amazing. So each bundle is a U.S. surplus military 50 caliber ammo can. Each bundle has hoodies, or it's got t-shirts, whatever you choose. It's got and I changed this today, so it's got a bag of coffee of the flavor of which you choose. So you choose the flavor of the coffee you want in there, and it's got 8 of the 9 roasts that we have available on there, because I couldn't put any more; it wouldn't allow me to. It's got patches. It's got custom tumblers. It's got stickers, patches, tactical hats, all sorts of stuff, giveaways that we do for all of our giveaways as well. Now, here's the best part. If you go, because right now we're trying to raise as much money as we can so we can do all this growth, all these plans that we have for growth. So right now, if you go to the website and you order and you prepay for the year's subscription, we're giving you 2 boxes for free. That's a $250, discount, as if you bought every single one that we go out. We're giving you free shipping on every bundle. That's essentially, it works out to be like a 27% discount off of the normal price. But here's the best part. In addition to all of that greatness, what we're also doing is we're giving you a permanent, before it was just a year, but I decided to make it permanent because you guys rock, a permanent 20% discount off of all orders. Okay. And when I send you the email, there is, a stipulation to that if you want something like a bundle deal that we have, like, the hoodies, where you buy a hoodie, you get a free mug. You can't do that with the discount. You got to send me an email and then I will manually do it and then send it back to you because our system only allows one discount at a time. But so we have that where if you prepay right now, and this is a great deal, you're never going to find it anywhere else. Nobody does this. It's insane. My wife is like, you're crazy. And I said, I know. But what you do, you buy 10 of the Patriotic as F ammo can bundles. You're buying 10, you get 2 free, delivered to your door every single month. You can choose the t-shirts you want. Here's another thing for anybody that doesn't know. For these bundles, if you have specific t-shirts that are already in our store and you want those instead of the random ones we send out, just send me an email. And then we'll go out. If you want to change your coffee order, because like if you do French roast, when the orders come through every month, it's going to say French roast. If you want to change your coffee order, I'm going to make a special email account just for everybody that's on this plan. And you guys will be able to say, hey, Steve, I want to switch it up this month. I would like a hoodie instead of the 2 t-shirts. Or this month, it's cold, so I want this. Or, I want to change the coffee roast or, something like that. So there's going to be a special email that I'll make, in the next day or two. But all you have to do is go over to Pure Truth Coffee right now. April's going to put it in the chat again. And go and you sign up. So you're buying 10, you get 2 free. They ship every single month, free shipping, and you get a 20% off discount. But because it is a little rich, it is expensive. It's $1,200. Here's another plan because several of you guys asked and said, well, it's a little much. We're doing a 6-month bundle as well right now. So what you do is you're buying 5 bundles, you get 1 free, and then you get a permanent or free shipping on all of them. Plus you get a permanent 10% discount. That's good for you and only you. And trust me, you can't share the discount with anybody else because you will forfeit it because I can see where you're placing your order from. So like if you live in Idaho and the orders are coming from Hawaii, guess what? You shared my code with somebody else. And so you're going to lose that code. But that's what we're going to do. And you can tell how excited I am. If you want to get a big announcement right now, place one of those orders and we will give you the props that you deserve for really supporting us. It's motivating me like no other, to build this. I'm doing all sorts of awesome shit. Like our coffee box is also changing. Our coffee box, hopefully I'll have it all figured out by tomorrow. But instead of just 5 random ones that we choose, now you're going to be able to make your own coffee boxes. You can choose the roast you want. We're going to have a coffee club with a high discount, 28% discount, where you can place, an order that comes every single month right to your door, with our coffee, and you can mix and match. Because the problem is most of these plugins that allow you to do it, they don't allow you to mix and match. So you could do like 4 of Awake Not Woke, but you can't do 2 French roast and 2 Awake Not Woke and still get the discount. Virtually none of the plugins let you do it. So I found a different way to do it, which is going to be amazing. It just takes a lot more time for me to do the coding. But so that's there. And I see you guys right now. There's 6 of you. Which one is going to get the big celebration, right? When you do the coffee bundle. Let's do this. Someone said, it looks like you got an easy 6 inches and snowing, but it's 33 and no wind. It's not even snowing right here. Derek said, are you coming to see Billy Talent or what? Yeah, right. I'm not going to London. There was a powerlifting finals, I think, in Germany next year. Or no, at the end of this year, because we're already in 2023. I was thinking about trying to, because I'm doing a powerlifting competition. It's either in April or May here in Virginia. And because I want to go after the state records here. And then if I do well in that, I'll qualify for the International Drug Tested Powerlifting Championships of the world. And I would like to do that one because I competed in 2019 in the International Powerlifting Championships of the world in Limerick, Ireland. I finished second, by the way. For my weight class and my age, I was 8th in the country for 8th in the world for deadlifting. So how about them apples? But yeah, we haven't had a lot of snow here. Actually, none. It hasn't even covered. But then again, I haven't looked out. Yeah, it's still not covered. I just looked out through the little crack in the window there. Come on, man. Who's going to do it? Who's going to sign up for the yearly bundle? Come on. One of you right now. One of you right now. Because then I'll tell you what I'm doing. This is going to be amazing, right? So this guy today seems like he's going to be renting this space out for the next year. So that's awesome. Covers it, but I'm going to leave utilities on. He's going to pay me for all that stuff. So that's great. I'm going to move my desk and the offices and everything to the store. I'm going to end up having to get the high-speed internet probably as much as I don't want to. I think I'm going to end up having to pay for it. Have high-speed internet. We're building a podcast studio in the back. I'm going to have all my gym equipment in the back of the store as well so I can work out. We're trying to work out a deal with Redcon 1. April has been beating up the phones trying to get that so we can carry it in our store. Plus, we'll rep it here because it's the only gym supplement that I actually like. And a ton more stuff, man. We're doing amazing shit. Like you believe. Someone said, when are the details coming out about the coffee truck franchises? Well, it's a little bit because that's one of the reasons why we're trying to do all of this and sell. Like if I sell 10 or 15 of these things, then we will have our first prototype of this this coffee trailer prototype thing going out. And I don't know how a franchise agreement would work. You know, I think it would be more like a licensing agreement where you buy the trailer from us and all the coffee and all the other material, and then you go out there. You know, and because the franchise agreements don't work with the free coffee side. The only thing that does is, you know, employees would be like me saying, I'm going to open a store in Arkansas. Who wants to work it? But so there's different things that we're trying to figure out for that. But I want to build this prototype coffee trailer just for us to start. But then we can market that out and make Pure Truth Coffee a franchise location. You know what I mean? But it's hard though because we get the coffee's free in the store. The coffee's free, so we make our profits in the store off of all the merch and everything else. So it's a little weird. It's a little different how we do it, but it's going to be pretty cool. Pretty cool. So what else is going on? But there you go, Larry. Larry, I sent you an email, bro. I was really counting on you to buy one of these big boxes, bro. Larry, I was like, come on, Larry's gonna do it. By the way, guys, for this plan, you can also use Shop Pay. You can break up the payment to 4 manageable. I think it's up to 4 manageable payments. Come on, let's go. I just felt like a seal when I clapped like that. That's goofy. I was like, who claps like this? I don't know. Apparently I just did, but that's funny. That's funny. But so it's a shut up. Coffee Club with savings sold. I'm really proud that I got $20 off of dog food yesterday. Yeah. So the coffee club that I'm trying to build, it's gonna be different. It's gonna be similar to like the big coffee company out there that has like 30,000 coffee subscriptions, and that's how they're able to do everything they do with all the crazy videos and all that stuff. So that's one of the things I'm doing. Plus, my coffee's way better than theirs. So I just worked. I went to the roaster today, and I'm like, listen, I need a better deal because I gotta be able to sell my coffee for cheaper. How can we do this, bro? Like, how can we do it? So we worked out a different deal, and now we're part of the Specialty Coffee Association. Shout out to us at Gratis Cafe and Pure Truth Coffee. We are official members of that association. So we found out a different way to be able to make, this all really, this train, it was going very slow, right? August, September, October, November, it was a slow train, right? And then it started picking up in December, towards the end of December. But oh shit, in January, in the beginning, it started going. Oh shit, and right now we're going full force. We are soaring high. We're like like Japan, they have those speeding bullet trains that are like 300 miles an hour. I don't know if that's even true, but it sounded cool right there. And yeah, that's like what we are now. Like our growth is going to be explosive. You watch. And the best part about it is our show is going to be better. Everything is going to be better because it allows the growth of the company with the whole way that we've set it up now allows us to go out and do more shit. You know what I mean? Which is amazing. It's amazing. So I'm excited. I'm excited about it. But yeah. Larry said you paid bills, Tap Steve, before the end of the month. Yeah. Well, originally I said I wasn't going to keep the deal up with the 2-1, but I ran the numbers and I can keep 2 free bundles up. So that's why we're doing the 2 free bundles if you do the yearly plan. You get 1 free bundle if you do a 6-month plan. Plus you get free shipping. Plus if you do a 6-month plan, you get a 10% permanent discount in the store. If you do the yearly plan, you get a 20% yearly, you get a 20% off discount in the store. And don't worry, when I send you your email with the instructions for the discount code, you'll get that within 24 hours. I give you an explanation because basically, like I said, if you try to use that discount to buy a hoodie and a mug, because the mug is already free with the hoodie, it's not going to allow you to use that discount. So you're going to have to contact me. I can do it on my end, send you the invoice, and you can check out that way. So it's interesting. I see 2 people checking out. I'm waiting. I'm hoping. I got the button ready. You know, announcement. But what else? What else is going on? Yeah, April, you're going to do the seal clap there. I'll do it again. Now you guys can all clap. Ah! Like, there you go. Your hearing aid just blew. Sorry about that. So, yeah, hearing aids. Yeah, they suck. I've never worn a hearing aid. Not yet. I will eventually. I thought for a while I would have to wear a hearing aid because I used to go to like metal shows all the time and would stand right next to speakers because I didn't do the mosh pits because I want to beat everybody up typically when I'm at those shows. And even though that's what you do in the mosh pits, but you know, normally I aim for the face and try to hurt them. So I try not to go into mosh pits. I just try to enjoy. Someone said, what about Putin sending ships towards the USA? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. I know there's a ship by Bermuda, right? That's what a lot of people keep claiming there's a ship towards Bermuda that has nukes on it. We heard a lot of questions today in the White House press conference about increasing nuclear threats, or does the fact that we're sending all these tanks, does that increase the nuclear threat assessment of the United States? You know, when it comes to Russia, all of these topics that nobody really knows. You know what I mean? I don't know. Do you know? I have no idea. Do you know? Are we under nuclear threat? Is there a nuclear bombardment? I'm wound. I'm like trying to get myself amped up. Do we have an air horn? No. What is that? How come? Oh, I got it muted. No. There's the air horn. So when we get the sale, I can do a clap and all that. See, this one sucks. It's like a mellow clap. It's not crickets. Yeah, we'll see. I think it's gonna happen. One person's checking out, and they're probably like checking their bank account, making sure they can do it. I see one person. I see there's 2 active cards now. Although I don't know, like this thing hasn't been being honest with the active cart thing, because like earlier it's like you have 196 active carts, and I'm like, how the fuck is that possible? I only have 6 people on the website. You know what I mean? So there's something going on, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's gonna be funny. Monkey Works has a ship off Hawaii and said it's not uncommon. Yeah, there you go. R. Brooks said, any plans of doing a call-in show in the future? Probably not. I don't like call-in shows that much. Many of you guys know that. I'm not a big fan of the call-in shows. But I do want to do some other stuff. A lot of the stuff that I've been talking about doing for a while, like ride-alongs and stuff like that, I've started trying to figure those out again and reaching out to some people I know in law enforcement to see if I can do ride-alongs. I've tried to figure out a way that I can go, because I think what I'm going to do for a California trip, I may just fly out there and do some work out there, maybe do the TW Live stuff and then do some other stuff for our business out there. And then for the spring break, I think my wife and I and our kids and dogs, we're going to do a trip somewhere, a pretty long trip. We're going to do one, and we're going to document that and go see different places. And then this summer, we'll likely do something similar with that, because, that's the one thing I want to do is I want to go travel more and see the country, see America, and show my boys and my wife, see, what America could be. You know, the good old fashioned America, you know. Plus, I'd like to go like tour movie theaters. There's going to be a lot more content coming up once I finally get all this stuff situated with the store and this. There's going to be a lot more content. I was excited about it when I was in the store the other day, because anyone who's been watching for a long time, you remember the first room with all the brick. That room is a perfect room to have multiple sets. Like, I can have my desk and work there normally. I could have a podcast studio in the other room, but I could have a green screen hanging on the wall in that room. I can have another set on the other side, because the room is so darn big, and have it all set up so I could do a lot more content, and which I'm pretty excited about. So, yeah, it should be good. Someone said, can you make a Korkanski roast? We'd all buy it. I don't even know what a Korkanski roast is. Never heard of that before. Look up Operation Mincemeat and Operation Martin Red. Nah, I'm good. Jimmy said, come to Florida. I moved from Florida. How long ago? 2 years? 3 years? 2 years? I don't know. We moved from Florida. I don't miss the sweltering heat, though. You know what I mean? As you guys can tell, I'm a sweatshirt guy. I like wearing sweatshirts and sweats and gym clothes essentially every single day. And you can't do any of that in Florida. I literally had to buy a riding lawnmower just to be able to mow the lawn in Florida because it was so damn hot. I had a Harley. I barely even rode the damn thing because it was so hot. You know, my car had to have remote start. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone anywhere, and because it was so damn hot. I've never been a big fan of Florida for that reason. But, however, if you go to, like, the Gulf Coast, seeing all the water and seeing everything down there, it's amazing. It's beautiful, you know, the water when it's green and all that. But then again, I don't go in oceans. The whole time we lived in Florida, I think it was 3.5 years, I only went into the ocean once, and that was on my wife's birthday. I didn't like it. It was like being in a vat of piss. It's like the same temperature as urine. You know what I mean? So I didn't like going. My wife and kids loved it. They were always at the beach. But kids always complained because they got sand up their butt cracks. You know, I didn't. I went there once. I used to ride the motorcycle on like cooler days. I used to ride it along the water, you know, from what, Jensen Beach all the way up, or the Causeway or whatever. I used to ride all around there because I like that stuff. But what else? Doesn't look. It says one person's still checking out, but I'm starting to think that's an error and nobody's actually checking out, unfortunately. I don't know what's going on. But that's that. But yeah, it's so far we have 3 people in the elite club. We've got Pamela, we've got Shirley, and we've got Kathy. They are the elites. They are the Pure Truth Coffee elites. And I think I may make another perk. So they'll be part of the testing club. So when I want to do a new roast, I may send it to them for their honest coffee review before you make it generally available. And that I'll do that for anyone that's on one of these plans. But because I want to start having coffee, because right now I like my coffee. Angel Dog, great question right there. You said, have you sent out my patches and stickers since they weren't in your bundle bag? You're talking about the Christmas bundle. I am waiting right now for the 30 caliber ammo cans. I ordered more of them. Those are coming in. You guys, there's 20 of you, I believe, that didn't get a full Christmas bundle because we ran out of shit and I didn't want you to wait, so I sent it to you. What I'm doing is I'm making a miniature ammo can bundle for you. So it's going to be way more than, I'll lose money on it, but it's worth it because it'll keep you as a customer. So yeah, hopefully I'm getting those ammo cans. They were already shipped yesterday via FedEx or UPS. So they are probably going to arrive tomorrow to my home. And then I'm going to start packing everything. And I hope to get them out either this weekend or Monday. So, and there's only like 20 of you that did it. For the Christmas boxes, if you got a note inside your box and it said, hey, I didn't want you to wait, but I ran out of some shit, that's why. So you're all going to get it. You'll get our fiery but peaceful coffee roast in there. Yeah, trust me, you'll love these packs. And I know I'll win your business back. And then there's a bunch of like old orders and stuff that I'm still going through. And so some of you may just randomly get a bag of coffee or something that I missed, or there was a long time that it wasn't working. So when I'd send out something, or I was using a different shipping software. So when I shipped out a bunch of shit, it never marked it delivered, or it never marked it like I shipped. I can't tell. So I'm just going to, and most of those were coffee orders. So I'm going to be sending out new coffee to you guys, and you may have double, and you could just like, use a Cash App, Venmo, or something if you want. But there's the answer for the Christmas things. I think I said it yesterday on the live stream too, but yeah, now I see 3 active cards. Are 3 of you guys gonna break my brain right now and check out? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if 3 of them right now do the yearly plan? Holy shit! I think I would literally have to take a pause from this and go poop. Like, no joke. I've been here all morning. I haven't been able to do a freaking thing. I haven't even eaten lunch yet. What time is it? 3:30. I called my wife and I said, I'm not coming home. You know what she was doing? Sleeping, because that's what teachers do when they school days or snow days. They just sleep. That's what she's doing. Well, they're not indoctrinating our children. I know that's what some of you guys just said right now. She's good. She's not all about that indoctrination stuff. It's funny though, because she's dude, I don't even think she's an independent anymore. I think she's hugging that line of conservative now. Because every now and then she'll say something, or she'll put like a story up and show me something, and I'll be like, see? See? Now I know what you're doing. And I'll send that after. But yeah. I think she's coming around. Someone said, I'm waiting for it, and I nuked you for no reason, but it was a peaceful nuke. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you talking about Russia? Hopefully not. Hold on. Let me answer this text message that I just got. I sent it to the landlord, but I haven't heard back from him yet either, nor has he responded, so he's probably busy. I will update tomorrow. But I don't know, because I guess they didn't get the application of this guy. I told him it would be ego. Biden will just veto everything the Republicans do. He even said that publicly. Yeah, I know. Do you think we'll have a government shutdown? Well, now it runs till June, right? The debt limit, whatever, debt ceiling, whatever. Now it runs till June because of what Yellen did, I believe. But I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen with the... I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, thanks. Just checking. Yeah, no, you're good, bruh. You're good. I want this dude to rent this place too. He's like, yeah, man, I'll pay the rent for a year in advance. I'm like, hell yeah. That means I don't have to worry about it for a year. Because I'm subleasing this, but I don't want to do the whole term because I want the warehouse back, and I'm not doing the other spot, so it's less than, whatever. But I have to like kind of argue with him a little bit. You know what I mean? Oh, someone bought a box, but just a solo box. Was it a box? I don't know. That price was low. Why was that price low? What was that? What? How did you do that? How in the hell? How'd you get it for? Oh, you got a discount. You some gun. You got, see, you used the coffee code on the Patreon box, Joe. No, you're fine. That's why I did it. So you guys will see now and see, but thank you, Joe, because you showed me that I fucked up. Because that code was only supposed to be for the coffee. So what I'm doing now, when you order coffee from us as well, on the back, I'm putting a discount code. So every time you buy coffee, if you scan that code or the QR code, you can get another one. But Joe just got creative because he ordered a patriotic as F bundle, just a solo bundle. He didn't do the yearly bundle, which you should have did the yearly bundle because you save a lot of money. But he used that code. Because I didn't know. But now I do. So everyone else just got fucked because Joe used the code earlier. And it was live. Someone said, bro, tank warfare is completely different from the light infantry warfare in which Russia has the advantage here. So what, you think Ukraine with 32 tanks is going to be able to make a dent in Russian military? Come on, bro. And a lot of people are like, oh, we're going to have to send U.S. troops there to do their... Nah, that's not true either. We're not going to send U.S. troops to train Ukrainian soldiers on how to use these tanks. No, because they're just going to continue coming here like they currently do now. There's like 100 Ukrainian troops down in, where is it? Oklahoma right now training on the HIMARS system or something like that, I believe. And a lot of people are like, well, a lot of the local politicians are like, we shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing that. We're like, why? Or the other politicians are like, why? We literally do it to everybody we sell. Schiff is throwing a temper tantrum after being kicked off the Intel committee. Yeah, they all did. Swalwell did it too. They all went and cried about it. But they shouldn't have been on it in the first place. Just like McCarthy said, he made a very valid point when he was arguing with the reporters earlier. He said, listen, Adam Schiff was on that, whatever, he was on the committee and he made face statements. You know what I mean? Or false statements. He would know that things that he was saying to the public were false when he was saying them about the Russian hoax and all that stuff. He knew that the Russian hoax was false. He knew it was false. And that's what Kevin McCarthy said. And I tend to believe Kevin McCarthy in this front because, again, Kevin McCarthy had access to a lot of that documentation as well. The classified shit that nobody gets to see. So he knew that the information that he was presenting to the public about Donald Trump and the Russia collusion shit was all false, but yet he still put it forth. That in itself would be a disqualifier for it. You know what I mean? At least in my opinion. But so, I don't blame that. Eric Swalwell, he's got a close-knit relationship with the Chinese spy. And I don't give a shit if the FBI cleared him of it. He still had that relationship, which means that he could be compromised. So he shouldn't be on that committee either. Simple as that. And Omar, she doesn't like America. Straight up. She doesn't like America. So she shouldn't be on any foreign intelligence committee either. It's simple as that. But you know what I think? I saw that there was 2 committees that were set up to investigate. One was to investigate the border crisis, and another was to investigate the origins of COVID or some shit like that, right? Those are not bipartisan committees, from what I understand. Those committees should be bipartisan. If you want it to be taken seriously and not taken like a January 6th committee, have them be bipartisan. Appoint people to them. Allow other people, allow the opposing view to have some sense. Because I don't necessarily believe that any Democrat is literally, if the question is about mishandling about the border crisis, which is allowing people to die and allowing people to cross into the country, I don't think, and maybe this is just, maybe I'm naive, but I don't think that Democrats are just going to pretend like it doesn't exist. You can't. At some point, you have to be honest and say, okay, this shit is really happening. You know what I mean? I just have to believe that. I don't believe Democrats are going to be like, oh, no, this isn't real. At least, I just don't believe that. I changed my mind. Literally, as I said that, could you tell the hesitation in my voice? Because no, Democrats will likely do that. But anyway, it still needs to be a bipartisan group. To look into anything, it should be bipartisan. To look into anything that goes on in Washington. Because if it's not bipartisan, then it gives people an excuse to not believe it. You know what I mean? It just gives people an excuse to not believe it. So, and that's why, any committee to investigate what's going on with our border, any committee to investigate the origins of COVID or mishandling of COVID, whatever, they should all be bipartisan. And no matter what, they should be. Because we need that unified approach if you want to unify America. You know what I mean? If people are just beyond unifying America and they don't care about doing that anymore, well, keep going the way we're going, because that's literally what you're doing, is fracturing America and making it so we don't care or, about each other. Simple as that. I don't know how it's going to go. That's my belief. That's my belief. My belief, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, who's going to sign up for our yearly Patriotic as F bundle? Here's your, if you're someone that orders it every single month, you might as well do this, right? Because one, you're getting 2 free months of the bundle, and you're getting a 20% off discount code for everything in the store. So if you want to buy coffee one month or one day, you get 20% off. You want to buy a hoodie, because I made a hoodie that's funny during a live stream or something like that. Boom, 20% off. You have your own special link to our store that gives you 20% off for life. Not even for a year, like I said, or the term of it. However, if you do the 6-month thing, you get 10 months or 10%, not 20%. But think about it. It's a huge deal. It's a great deal. It drastically helps us in everything we're doing. April just put the link in the chat right there. I hope that many, many, many of you go over to the website and subscribe to that thing, because such a huge thing. Eric Williams said, Steve, what? Someone said, am I covering the Murdoch trial? I don't know. In all reality, I need to sell a bunch of these bundles so I can get the high-speed internet in the store all set up. Because otherwise, I don't have the really good live streaming capabilities there with the internet setup that we have now. It's functional, but it's not super awesome, you know. Eric said, Steve, love the old school Wake Up America hoodie. Yeah, I do too. It's one of my most coveted hoodies that I own. It's nice. I really try to keep stains off of it. I like it too because it's sideways, you know. But I've had this hoodie since I made the design. Eden's Vision said you love the Ammunition Patriot as F-Box. Yeah, well, Eden's Vision, go right now. Go to Pure Truth Coffee right now. Go to the Patriotic as F bundle under bundles. Choose a yearly subscription. It works out to be like $1,200. Like, I don't want you to have sticker shock. $1,200, right? But you already know if you bought $125 or $125 box every single month for 12 months, which many of you guys do anyway. Well, no, you're actually paying less now because it used to be more expensive. But you get 2 free months, your 11th and 12th month completely free. You get free shipping on every single bundle, so that's like another $120, discount as well. Plus, you get it 20% off every future sale of anything on their store. So that's a hell of a deal that you're not going to find anywhere else. And if, $1,200 is a little rich for you right now, here's another option for you. We have a 6-month bundle. The 6-month bundle, you pay for 5, you get the 6 free, comes delivered right to your door every month. And you can still get free shipping. The only difference is instead of a 20% discount off everything in our store, you get a 10% discount. But hopefully lots of you guys are putting that link in the chat. And I'll throw it in the chat again right now. You can see it right there. And then do it. And then again, we'll have some coffee clubs and stuff like that are going to be ramping up pretty soon. And then, of course, you'll be able to we'll have coffee clubs, which will be different because I think, there's going to be all sorts of stuff. Eric said you wanted one as well. PT News Network back in the day. Always love Steve's content and his beliefs. Thank you, bud. I appreciate it. Appreciate your support. Let's see. There's three people on the website. It says one person's checking out, but that's not true. That was that one coffee order, Joe, that used the code that's on. Oh no, you got a code that was specific for that, right? No, Joe used a code specific for anything in the store. Okay. I forgot what code it was. Did I make a code for what I put on the stickers? Oh man, this is what happens when you're busy all the time. Oh, I did. Yeah. The reorder code. Yep. All right. What else? Eden's Vision said you're showing your hubby. You should. Come on, Eden's Vision. Let's go. You're going to do it. Let's go. Eric said, I've been watching you since you're... I know you have. I recognize your name, I think. But yeah. Yep. What I'm plugging it hard. I know. I'm plugging this hard, and it's probably annoying to some of you guys, but I have to. Because think about it. Right now, if every single person that's watching this live stream right now went and did that, fucking done. Like, dude, I'm going to make it would just be amazing, And that would be incredibly ambitious. Even if 2 people, we already had 1 today. If even another person does it, that's ambitious. That's ambitious as hell. But you heard my phone. Yeah, I know. I get messages all the time. I don't like the ringtone. I'm too lazy to change it, so I just keep it on vibrate all the time. What else? What else is going on in the world? To be honest, I don't know. I've been literally doing all the back end on the website all day to try to build this build-a-box plan and all that stuff. So it's taken a long time. Someone said not affordable work comp in Indiana sucks with maximum per week. Yeah, it does. And you'll be able. I'm going to keep those bundle deals up, so you'll be able to get them for a while. Someone said, "Are we heading to war with Russia?" I think we've been heading to war with Russia for 11 months now. Because didn't this begin in February of 2022? Didn't it? I think it did. So I truly, that's what I think. I think we're all heading into it. I've long maintained that this is going to lead to U.S. boots on the ground. I mean, we might as well. We're spending so much fucking money there anyway, right? I mean, that would make everybody happy. Except us. Except me. You know? I don't want anybody to go in some other war. We have our own shit here. You know what I mean? And to be honest, I do my research. You know, we watch this the stream. I covered it live when Putin gave the address about why he did the invasion into Ukraine. We watched it live, and I was fact checking all of the stuff that he was claiming. And look at it, lo and behold, a lot of it was true. I mean, if you want to argue about the Nazism thing, just look at our Congress. Our Congress. In 2019, we had a provision that no, defense spending budget money that was allocated to Ukraine was allowed to be assigned to the Azov battalion because of their allegations of genocidal, homicidal maniacness. Literally, that was in our Congress. Everyone can fact check that. Somehow something changed, though. 2 years later, we literally have, or 3 years later, we have members of the Azov battalion meeting congressmen in the Capitol, shaking their hands. When just 3 years ago, they were basically considered terrorists by our Congress. It's insane. It's insane. It really is. You just got thrown out of the office? Yeah. Well, do it anyway. Do it anyway, Ian. No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. But, responsible spouse, I know. Well, there's many of you guys on the website. Hopefully something does. Hopefully something comes together. I was going to start moving stuff, and I may just move a computer or two tomorrow because I got to be at the store tomorrow morning. We're going to be open for coffee. So I'll be open and just trying to straighten up and clean the back of the office, get it ready. And then this weekend, I'm going to rent a truck, try to disassemble the gym equipment, bring all the desks and computer stuff to the store. And so next week will be good. It is a steal of a deal. We're essentially giving away 2 of the Patriotic as F bundles. That's how good it is. You know, especially if you're someone because a lot of people buy it all the time. A lot of people buy it every single month. You know, I tried to send a personalized email to all those people today, to be honest, because, this is an effort just to be able to do the next latest, greatest thing that we're doing with the coffee company. But I'll be honest, you guys are going to start seeing ads on social media for it because we have to. But we got to do everything. This coffee company is something special, and we're going to treat it like it is. All right. So I appreciate everybody. I would implore everybody watching that as soon as I end this live stream, you go to the link that I just put in the chat and buy one of those boxes. I'll give you all a special shout out tomorrow when I go live, anyone who buys it today, and we'll go from there. I appreciate all of you for watching, and I will see all of you tomorrow. I'm not doing a late night show tonight either. All right, but I'll see all of you mañana. That means tomorrow in Spanish, by the way.